everyone, welcome to the KukieKnits podcast. My name is Ira and I'm your host here. I'm a Nepali expat and I'm coming to you from Australia in Sydney, Sydney in Australia. And if it's your first time here, welcome. I'm mostly a knitter, I cross stitch and I do a few other crafts. And thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to watch me talk about my crafting. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back to you and to me. It's been about a month since I last podcasted as I was away on holiday, but I'm back now and I have a few things to show you. So let's get started. I don't have a garment finished object today for the first time. So I'm wearing an older piece. I thought I'd tell you what I'm wearing. This is the Yoko top by Knitting for Olive. And I've knit this in Holst Coast, held double in the color brown. And it's a wraparound top with some ribbing. And I knit it sometime last year. It's a bit booby. So I think I'll probably be wearing it with a white shirt or something underneath. And the other issue I had is that my row gauge was definitely a bit off. And because of this sort of ribbing pattern here, there's a specific row gauge that you need to do for the pieces. So if I don't tuck this in, the bottom piece, it eventually finds its way down here like that because I think it's just a touch too long. So I usually just tuck it into my pant. And then that looks fine. I don't get as much wear out of this as I thought I would because it's very booby. But I think I quite like it this way, so maybe I'll wear it a bit more often. So let's get into the knitting. My first finished object is the 7 p.m. tank by Tiffany Thai or KukieKnits, and I knit it for my sister as a gift, and I gave it to her when I was visiting Manila, so I don't have it on me, but I'll pop a few pictures of her in it because it looks great. I knit this in the Jocomomo Textiles Lavender Field colorway on their platinum sock base, which is the 75-25. My sister chose it out of my stash, so I've had this yarn with no plan whatsoever. It was one of those market purchases that I was like, oh, this is pretty, and I just bought a few skeins without any plans. I was quite happy to actually get some use out of it. The pattern turned out to be a little bit more, not complicated, a little bit more work than I thought I was signing up for. I thought it was just like a knit and around tank top type of thing, but it's a bit more complex than that, the construction of it. The bottom band of it, this part here, is knit in 4 pieces, with 3 pieces being stockinette in this orientation, and in the back you have a bit of ribbing knit up. Then you have to sew them together, and that was where I did the only modification that I did. The pattern does recommend that you block it, the individual pieces, and then mattress seam it together. I did not block it. And it was annoying actually because it kept curling up, and I did not mattress stitch either. I try and avoid mattress stitch as much as I can because the way I do it is quite bulky anyways, and I prefer this ease and the strength of the back stitch. So I just did a back stitch and it worked out great, no problem whatsoever. My sister hasn't complained about the seams being bulky or anything like that. And then you pick up stitches in the round, then you knit up in the round, and then the front part you knit sort of back and forth as well. So if you're a person that has a wide gauge difference between when you knit in the round and when you knit flat, like especially right up on here, it would, which is the center, like where your eyes go in the pattern, that might be something that you have to be aware of and change the needle size or whatever that you do to get to avoid rowing out basically. Other than that, it's really cute. It fits her really well. I did have to undo, shorten and re-sew the strap down, which I think is just how I had to do that for this as well actually. Just knitted garments and straps are just annoying. But luckily it was not that big of a fix, so I could do it while I was still there. I just flat blocked it without pinning, and the stockinette sits flat really well, so no problem whatsoever with that. Super happy. My next finished object is the Lone Skein Shawl by Joji Locatelli. This was my entry into the Joji Fall 2022 knit. So I've used really nice yarn from Glenheaven Knits, which is a Sydney-based, is she Sydney-based? Definitely Australian hand dyer. And I bought this at the same market that I got the Jokomomo textiles on. Skein in. What am I saying? And this was a sock, nylon-free sock base. It is a Superwash BFL cashmere and silk yarn. And I feel like you can really see that in the beautiful drape of this shawl. I love the colorway. My husband said it reminds him of boysenberry ice cream, which it totally does. But the official name in Glenheaven Knits is called Make It a Double. My thoughts on the shawl itself, when I was knitting it, I was a bit unsure. I wasn't vibing with this like sort of bump that you get with the garter tab. And then, I don't know, the lace pattern didn't really speak out to me. It didn't feel as lacy or as big in proportion with the garter, so I wasn't really feeling it. However, I didn't have anything else to knit on, and I didn't have any other plans for this skein. And with shawls, I usually find that I like hold my opinion till I've blocked it, because it changes so much that I'm like, I hate it and I love it. So I gave it a good block, which really opened up the garter and the lace. So I'm feeling much better about it. It made it a quite decent size as well. So I think I will probably be wearing it like looped over once, like that. I think I'll wear it. It's really a nice light shawl. The yarn is gorgeous. I'll probably end up adding a big, like 2 long big tassels to the ends, because they sort of weigh it down and give it a little bit of extra length as well. However, being a one skein shawl, this is all the yarn I have left. I also have the yarn that was used to like tie up the skein, because I want to add it into the tassel, and I'll probably use some other leftover yarn to like a pink or a white, or I don't know, some sort of yarn to make a tassel. The only modification I did in this, in the first like garter area right here, I was knitting it on the flight over to the Philippines, and I don't know what was going on with my stitch counts. I just couldn't get it right. So I just like fudged it a little bit. That's why I thought my, like this end was bulging so much. But now that a few people have finished, everyone has it. So I don't think it was me. And I spaced out this like picot edging a little bit more. I think in the pattern it gives you a certain number of stitches to bind off in between, but I added 5 stitches to that because I wasn't sure if I had enough to bind off, which I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have had enough if I didn't do it. So this is I'm happy with it in the fact that the yarn is beautiful and I'll probably get a lot of use out of it, but I don't think I'd knit another one again. I didn't particularly enjoy the actual knitting of the lace as well as how it looks as much. Yeah, so it's a useful product. That's my last finished object for today. Moving on to my works in progress. I messed up. I have ended up with a timeline of a week-ish, a week to knit, block, and have pictures ready of 2 garments, and I need them to be done by next week. So the first one is my test knit for the Slow Down Sweater by Lily Kate Makes. I probably should have taken this with me on holiday. I think that's where I went wrong. I didn't take it with me because I was like, I have like 15 days when I get back. However, because I wasn't quite feeling the shawl, I didn't finish the shawl on holiday. I finished it when I got back. And then I have the other deadline with the other knits, so it's just thrown me off a little bit. Anyways, I'll get to it. So this is where I am. This is knit in Spinning Yarns and Weaving Tales Dewish 10 ply in the colorway Peat. It's a black tweedy yarn. So I'm just right at the bottom. I'm doing the short row shaping for the back of the hem to make it longer, and then I'm on to the ribbing. Because it's such a big like positive ease garment on me, I usually knit a bit more tight fitting. I think that's where I was like, oh, I can finish the body in a few days. It's a lot of stockinette. It's a lot of knitting. Anyways, I swear I was on 25 centimeters body length for 3 days. I kept measuring it and it was on the same, so I don't know how it was happening. But I'm close. Another couple of rows and I'm onto the ribbing and then to the mohair. And then, because it's a drop sleeve, the sleeve should be shorter, and I have to do the mohair collar pickup. So hopefully I should be done. I'm loving it, and I really want to finish on time because of course it's a test knit, and I took it on with the responsibility on my part to finish it on time. So I'm going to focus on it and try my best to finish it. That's my first whip. My second work in progress is a gift knit. I'm knitting the Aosta sweater by the Knit Purl girl, Sophie Hemmings. I'm knitting it in the Knit Picks Wool of the Andes bulky weight Superwash because it's for a gift in the colorway Aurora Heather. So it's this beautiful color. So my friend is getting married next weekend, and this is her wedding gift from me, one of them. When I got married early in the year, we were talking about the wedding. We had gone to a spa and cocktails because my wedding, just before the wedding, was super stressful. So I called her up and I was like, let's go to a spa. And I'm usually not a spa-y person. I don't like people touching me. I don't like massages. But I went, and then we went for cocktails. So we were talking about the wedding, and the topic came up of how I didn't have a gift registry because me and my partner had already been living together for a few years. We already had everything. Plus, I could barely think of 3 things that I wanted, much less enough things for a whole guest party to get me. So we just did a wishing well. However, I have a couple of friends who are really good artists, painting artists, is that what you call it? Artists in the paint medium. So from the 2 of them, I actually asked for a piece of art, their artwork as a wedding gift, which was great because I got 2 beautiful, beautiful artworks, and now we have some work for to show in our home. So when I was talking about that, and obviously I had been talking of knitting earlier because I don't think there's ever been a day in my life or a person that I don't talk to about knitting, even if they have 0 interest in the field. And she really liked the sweater I was working on, so I offered her to knit her a sweater for her wedding present if that's what she wanted, and she accepted it. She doesn't knit or crochet or anything in the yarn field, but her husband's younger sister is a very avid crocheter, so they have a few, cushions and homewares and hats that she makes for them, so they're not completely not used to sort of understanding, I guess, the amount of effort and time that goes into a handmade gift. And plus, she's a really good friend, and I actually think I'm going to do this for a few of my friends because it's so, I only knit for people I love. So at the moment, it's just my husband and me. So this is the Aosta sweater. It's knit on 7mm needles, and I've knit this pattern before, so I've done the folded over hemline. However, this pattern doesn't have short rows written in it. Last time I knit it, I had knitted really early on, so I had just added in short rows in the back and stockinette, which I was very proud of myself at the time because I didn't know how to do any alterations. I am still not the best at it. I don't have the brain for it. I hate going back and forth and like unnecessarily frogging my work. Anyways, and Sophie has said that she's releasing an updated version of it in autumn this year, so I waited as long as I could hoping that her short rows would be out, but they aren't out yet and the wedding is next week, so I decided I was just going to figure out a way to add it in myself. I was looking at the projects on Ravelry, and a couple of people said they added 4 sets of short rows into the first 4 textured like repeats. So it's made out, this repeat is the Andalusian stitch. It's a 4-row repeat where 3 rows are stockinette and 1 row is like sort of this knit and purl that gives this texture. So that's what I did. I added 1 short row each into the top 3 repeats. So you can see here, ooh, let's see. This one, and this one is slightly wider than the rest of the repeats. That's because they have a short row in each. So in the first short row, I put it to just before the last 2, like the 2 back raglans. And then this one, I went just across the 2 raglans. And then this one, I've gone sort of up to halfway across the sleeve. So I think it's relatively seamless, I would say. I don't think anyone would be able to pick it out, especially because my friend has long hair. And it's worked really well, and it's fitting really great, and it's given just a bit of a lift. On my body type, I definitely find that I definitely need short rows, and my friend is actually more busty than I am, so it definitely, like, I refuse to give her a wedding present, which is probably one of the very few things I'm going to knit her. Maybe I'll knit her something in the future, but at the moment, it's probably the only one that I'm going to knit her, and have it be something that doesn't fit her as well as I think she deserves to have a garment fit. So I'm happy with it. I'll actually be interested to see how Sophie's put in the short rows, because ideally I would have liked to put it in on the top and have the texture sort of coming in and out of it, but like I said, I don't have the skills for that. You have absolutely no danger of me being a podcaster that turns into a designer, because I not only don't have the interest, I don't have the skill whatsoever. I'm just here to knit other people's well-designed patterns. So that's my second whip. This is the Aosta sweater, and I really like it. I keep saying I want to make one for myself. The previous one I made was one for my aunt, and my cousin, my aunt's daughter, actually took it back to the UK where she lives. So my cousin has it in the UK. It was so funny. She sent me a picture and she had been wearing it inside out the whole time. I must have great finishing. I was like, oh my god, the designer is English. If she sees you wearing it inside out, what is she gonna say? Don't go to wherever Sophie lives. But now my cousin's wearing it the right way around. Aosta sweater. I will eventually make one for myself as well. It's a really fast knit. Last time it took me a week, but I knit a smaller size last time, so let's see. Then my last work in progress. And this is probably the pattern that sort of delayed all of the schedules, because I wasn't feeling the shawl, and then I got distracted when I bought this yarn, and I kept knitting it on holiday instead of doing stuff that I had told myself I would do. Anyways, this is the Colorfield shawl. Girl. The Colorfield hand towel by Purl Soho. So I'm knitting a tea towel, because I want to knit a bit more like home stuff for my house. I want to make a cushion, a throw, tea towels, hand towels. Just, I don't know where I have all of this time, but I guess I'm making them. This is a pattern by Purl Soho. And it's a linen stitch tea towel. So it's a free pattern. So they have the stitches for one color as well as two color, and you can sort of put it in whatever, you know, orientation you want to make whatever type of pattern. I am using a cotton yarn that I bought on holiday. This is the Dapper Dreams combed cotton, which is a 10-ply worsted weight cotton. It comes in 400-gram combs, and it has approximately 425 meters. This is the colorway Ivory, and this is the colorway Sage. This is also one of my acquisitions, so I'll talk a bit more about it in the acquisition section. I really love how this is looking, and I really like this cotton. It's like thick, holds its shape, really soft, but not like thick in a heavy way. Like, it feels so absorbent. Like, this is the bougiest tea towel ever. I will probably not even let anyone use it. And I've bought enough to make a few, so once I'm done with the knitting of the two sweaters that I need, then I'm going to continue working on this because I love it. Colorfield hand towel. I altered it. I was inspired to knit this by Knitting Traditions, but she said that it was quite slow because the original pattern is written for sport weight yarn, and it has about 150 something stitches you cast on. So when I heard her say that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna change that part. So I got worsted weight cotton, and I've cast on about 80 something stitches on 5.5 millimeters, so it was not too slow. And I have a really soft spot for linen stitch, because the first sweater I ever knit for my husband was in linen stitch, and it makes me so happy every time he wears it, so I just like linen stitch. Yeah, that's my last whip. Moving on to my acquisitions. So the first thing I got in Manila was the skeins of yarn. Lord. Cones of cotton. I was recommended this place by one of my online knitting friends. Her name is Danny. She's neuro_knits, and she's a crochet designer, but she also like makes amazing like short sleeve knits because it's very hot in Manila. So I was messaging her and I asked her, hey, I wanted to get some like local Filipino yarn. Is there any, like, is that a thing? And she recommended I go to this store. And because it's hot, they make their own. It's mostly cotton and acrylic or cotton. Cotton or acrylic. So I decided to go with the full cotton, like 100% cotton, because I just prefer using natural fibers as much as I can. They have them in balls and cones. So the store is called Gansilio Guru Selections, and they're based in Pasig City. And I have some footage in the store that I'll put at the end. So they had cones in 6-ply cotton or 10-ply cotton. And I checked out the gauge swatches that they had for it. Like, they had crochet gauge swatches, and I like the thickness of the 10-ply. So I got 4 skeins. 2 in the Ivory. So the other one's the one that I'm knitting the towel out of. Then this was the 4th color that I got. It's called Lily. So I'm going to have some green and purple and white tea towels together. So I got 4 of these, and they were such a good bargain. I think one skein of this was like, I don't know, like $9 for really good cotton. I'm really happy with it. And actually, I haven't come across a single knot, which if you work with plant yarns, you know that they're knotted together a lot because, I don't know, is it a production thing? Like, they tend to snap more than wool? I don't know what it is. Anyways, even the small balls of cotton, it's quite common to come across knots in plant fiber yarns, but in the other 2 that I've used so far in knitting that whole towel, there's not a single knot. So, you know, I'm sold. My other acquisition in the Philippines was some fabric. Even though I still have fabric that I brought from the Philippines in 2020 that I haven't knit yet. I haven't sewn yet, but That's a different problem. I went to the fabric warehouse in Quezon City. It was just like where the road turns into Eastwood because I was staying in Eastwood. And it was across the street and I saw it and it was called the Fabric Warehouse. The Fabric Warehouse. So obviously I had to go in. I made my mom and my sister walk in with me on a super hot day. And I got to dress lots of fabric. At least I think they're dress lots because the length and the width were like in yards and I was like, oh, this is a quick math. Anyways, either a long or short dress or something. So this is my first fabric. It's so cute. And this, if I'm not mistaken, is a cotton and rayon blend. Like cute little birds. Yeah, I love it. Super summery color, love the birds. And the next one I got was a orange linen fabric. And I'm thinking of making like a relaxed, like tiered linen dress. I bought a couple of sewing patterns because they were on sale. I bought them yesterday and they're coming in the mail. And y'all, we love confidence in this house because I don't think I can sew those. But I was like, I can sew those. And I bought it because I'm a very, very beginner sewer. So we'll try, and I would love to be able to make one of them. Looks like it would look like I did it from a distance. The second one, we'll try that one later. And ooh, I have more. And my last acquisitions, ooh, is so exciting. After I had released a couple of episodes, lovely Marina from the Strawberry Patches podcast, she's a dyer and a knitter based in New Zealand, and she has her own lovely podcast that I will link down below, reached out to me, and we were talking because we're both in quite similar positions of A, living on the complete end of the world, and B, like our families were away. She says she has family in Russia and Ukraine. Let me double check that. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Yes, I was right. So she has family in Russia, Ukraine, and the States. And we were connecting a lot on how difficult it is to sort of be away from your family, especially over the last couple of years, and like what a big like deal it is to travel out of our part of the world. It's so far, it's expensive, it takes hours to even get anywhere, so it's never just like a small trip. You're not like, oh, I'll just go home and visit family. Like, it's a big deal to travel. So we decided, well, it was her suggestion actually, which is super exciting, to do a yarn swap. So she sent her package to me and I sent mine to her. And if you want to see what I got her, you can watch her latest episode because she showed the things that I bought and sent it to her. And the postage system has been crazy. So she got told by the post office over there that they can't give an estimate time, which is exactly what I got told. But mine reached there actually pretty quick. But her parcel was nowhere to be seen. And it was so stressful. I was like, oh, where is it? Because sometimes, like my apartment complex, they're not very good at leaving the little card that says that there's a package for you. And we didn't have a tracking number. And I had a few weeks and then I was going on holiday. So I was like, what if they leave the tracking number, the note that says I have a parcel waiting for me while I was away, and then I'm not here to pick it up and then it gets returned, and that would be a tragedy. So I wrote my friend in that lives across the street to check my mailbox every day while I was gone, and bless, it arrived. The fabric, the patterns I bought for the fabric are also coming from New Zealand Post and untracked mail, so you know, I'm stressed again. Anyways, I love the package. It's so perfect. So the first thing I got was a skein of Superwash New Zealand Merino, and it's Strawberry Patches yarn. So it's dyed by Marina, and it's in the colorway light coral, and it's so beautiful. It looks and feels so like squishy. Look at it, and this color is just like spring and happiness. Like, I love it. So I think I'm going to keep this to make like a baby knit for my future non-existent babies, because it's really soft and such a bright happy color, and this would be enough for a little baby knit. So this one's going into future baby stash, which isn't a stash I have, but might be a stash I might start with this. Yay, look at it. It's so cute. And the next yarn, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this one too. This is the Amuri, A-M-U-R-I yarn, and it's 75% New Zealand Merino, 25% possum. I have been dying to try possum. So possum yarn has a dark halo, like it has a fuzz which is like a darkish brownish in color, and it's supposed to be really fuzzy and really warm. Like in Australia, possums, we don't produce possum yarn because they're a protected native species. But in New Zealand, they're an introduced species and a pest. So they do cull possums, and you can get possum yarn, which I wanted to try. So I have 100 grams of this. I don't know what I'm gonna make. I feel like I should make like a nice cowl or a shawl so that I can have it around my neck, and I love the color. I think that would look so good. So I'm still undecided as to what I'm going to make with it. Marina, if you watched the latest podcast, has bought about a year's quantity of this yarn. She bought so many, and so far she's knit her daughter a sweater out of this, so I might keep an eye and see what else she makes out of it for ideas. I'm not a big hat person, otherwise I would love to make a hat, so I probably won't. I never end up wearing hats I make because I don't like how they look on me, because I don't have cheekbones. So the second you cover like any volume I have up here, immediate egg. I look like an egg. So this is the other yarn I got, and I'm super excited to make something with it, something warm and cozy to wear against my neck, or even using it as like contrast in a color work maybe. That would be interesting. Yeah, the Amuri 7525 Merino Possum yarn. She also sent me these cute little labels to add onto your makes. There's stuff like artisanal. Oh, it's backwards on the camera, so I can't read it. Handcrafted. This took forever. Pretend to like it. Which is so cute. So I'm definitely going to be using these. And she sent me a lovely card with a lovely note inside, which I'm not going to read out. And she sent me some New Zealand Whittaker's chocolate. I have been very good and didn't open this. I could show you guys. It's Nelson pear and Manuka honey in milk chocolate. Oh my god, that sounds amazing. I'm going to eat it as soon as we're done here. And some wonderful hand balm. Actually, speaking of hand balm, when I was knitting the Hohi Locatelli shawl, that yarn is the cashmere and silk, and it was so soft and it kept catching on every piece of dry skin on my hands. Like, I don't have like beautifully manicured hands. I have to wash my hands a lot at work. Obviously I do stuff in the house. So I was like, wow, I am too peasant for cashmere. So this will be so useful. It's got Manuka honey in it. So that's my lovely yarn swap. Oh, it makes me so happy. Thank you so much, Marina. It's so lovely, and I'm so glad we got to do this and connect. And I look forward to seeing what you make with my yarn, and I'll definitely try and get some use out of these as soon as possible. Okay, so that's all of my acquisitions. Before we finish up, I'm doing the Stephen West MCAL this year as well. I'm picking up the yarn tomorrow, which is very exciting. And from next week on, like next episode onwards, because we'll probably have cast on by then, I'll probably make a different section. Like, it'll be like because I try and put in the timed bits in the bottom of the video so that you can skip to wherever you want to go to. It just makes it easier to navigate as well. So I'll put in like finished objects, whips, and I'll have a little MCAL section because I know not everybody knits it, not everybody wants to see what's going on, so that'll make it easier for you to skip if you want to, or go straight to it if you want to see what I'm up to. And I have a last new section in the podcast, and it's just the question of the day. So I asked my Instagram followers yesterday, my Instagram friends. It's weird to call them followers because I talk to like 900 people on there. I'm available on Instagram and Ivory as KukieKnits if you want to join in and be friends and chat. But I asked them if there was any questions they wanted me to answer on the podcast, and I got a few suggestions, which was lovely, and I've made note of them. I'll answer them in future episodes. But the question for today is from a lovely viewer of mine. I'm not sure if she would want me to say her name, but you know who you are. Thank you for watching and for messaging me. So the question is, what pattern is my Mount Everest of knitting? Like something that's really, really hard, but it's a goal or aim for me in the future. And great question. And also being from Nepal, I'm very partial to a Mount Everest reference. I was like, oh, pun intended. For me at the moment, it would be one of those super full intricate Marie Wallen colorwork knits. I haven't even decided which one because it's not feasible for me at the moment. A lot of her knits either have steeking or are knit flat, at least the ones that fit really well. So that I would love to do one of those in the future. It's so much work, but it's just so beautiful. And the other aspect of it is that Marie Wallen is so good with color palettes. And because there's so many colors and they work so well together, I would probably want to get it in the colors that she recommends, which is the British Breeds yarn. And it's not like buying that much yarn in that many colors for a big like cardigan or a sweater is also financially a big deal. So I will wait till I feel ready and sort of get it for a special occasion or something like that once I feel like I could knit it in the color she recommends, and that would be so good to do in the future. I also want to do an Alice Starr patterns from the Tudor Roses book. The reason I'm a bit hesitant about that one is because it's definitely more of like an art, like a high fashion artwork type of knitting, and I'm not quite at the stage yet where I can put in that many hours and that much yarn and money and time into a piece that I'm not sure if I'll wear, because they're beautiful, but I don't usually dress in that kind of stuff. So, especially the kind of stuff that I want to knit. So those two are probably my, in the future, aspirational knits that I would love to do. And that's the end of my podcast for today. Thank you so much for watching if you're still here. And I'll put in a little bit of footage from my holiday, not too much, but my sister was very gracious and filmed a little bit of it. I did ask her to take lots of pictures. And oh my god, I don't photograph well in candids. I regretted asking her that in some questions, in some pictures. But yeah, so I have a little bit of footage coming up, and thank you so much for watching. I will catch you next time. Have a good few weeks till I see you. Bye bye.